Press X the podcast here, live on the internet to talk about the video games. My name is Paul. Alongside me, of course, as always, got James and Rhett.
Yellow.
They're the other guys who play the games. You know what I'm saying? Oh my god!
I played a fuckload of games. Maybe not the ones you wanted me to play, World, but they're the ones I did. So that's cool.
Pray tell, what games did the world want you to play?
Well, I don't know. Probably some Marios and some Spider-Man and maybe I'm sure someone on Earth wanted me to play Mirage, but no. Fuck that. But I did play at least one thing that I really enjoyed, maybe even one and a half things.
I think Rhett's in that same boat where he played at least one thing he enjoyed. I am not.
At least one thing I enjoyed, plus Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, that game sucks, but we'll get into that.
Okay, it's very ass. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a stark contrast between the two things Brett's been playing.
Okay.
Very much so. Very much
so. So I guess I'll start with a thing that was pretty bad. I played Detective Pikachu Returns, and here's the great revelation I had when playing this game. I am a Pokemon maniac. I'm a fucking fiend for these games. I love these little bastards. I think they're the best. I play every Pokemon game that comes out, every one in the mainline series. I catch them all, man. I get right into it. You know, I fucking love these games. Detective Pikachu Returns is the first time I have ever felt like I am too old to be playing Pokemon.
Wow. That's not good.
Yeah, because the writing is for children. 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9 tops. It's for the kids. And it's one of those things where you're like, is it just because they don't normally have voices and the voice acting is very like slow and gentle and very like, don't worry, kids, you'll solve this mystery. We're going to make very absolute fucking sure of it. But no, the writing is also very slow and ponderous and careful and very like, we want to make sure you don't miss these clues, okay? Want to make sure you figure out how to solve this mystery. And it made me feel like I was watching Dora the fucking Explorer. Like I was screaming at my screen, being like, it's obviously this dude, you ham-fisted fucks. What is wrong with you?
Okay, so you liked it. Just before we started streaming, James had the revelation that he completely forgot that he played this game. So take that for what it is.
What an endorsement.
Ringing.
Yeah.
Glowing.
It's I don't know. I'm sure there's people out there that loved the first Detective Pikachu. I can't speak to that one. I don't know how good it is or is not. I know the major plot beats go all sorts of places. You're like, there's like a drug ring and there's like secret villains all over the place and people betraying people and popping up out of nowhere, but like, aha, third act twist. You know, all sorts of crazy shit like that. I don't know how that translates into the minutia, like the moment to moment play by play shit, but like this game is for baboos. I simply can't. I feel like even maybe the children will be, you know, pretty bored because lots of kids play Pokemon and they can keep up with that shit. They're fine with that, you know. But this is a bad time, man.
Was that, sorry, did you say it was for baboons?
Baboos, babies.
Baboos, sorry, my bad.
Tots, tater tots, you know.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Any redeeming qualities for this piece of shit?
I don't know.
What we can only
Like,
hope is the worst Nintendo
yes,
game to come
yes.
out this year.
Yes,
Mm.
there's one dreaming quality.
Dude, Redfall came out this year.
The guy they have playing Pikachu is awesome. His delivery is great. It's cheesy. It's over the top. There's just something so fun about this like tiny yellow shock rat with this deep, rich voice talking about how much he loves coffee and like shit like that. We're like, okay, that rules. I love that. But then like the game they built around this character is painfully simple and boring. I don't know.
Is it like a Barry White Deep and Rich, a Michael Clark Duncan?
Deep and rich, kind of like a Matt Mercer or a Troy Baker, like just
Okay.
a talented video game voice actor with a deep register. You're like, oh fuck,
Gotcha.
that's not what I expected at all. That's great. But like all the other voice acting, I don't know. I think everybody got notes where it was like, listen, we need to make sure you're slow and clear and concise so the children do not miss what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it suffers for it.
Yeah.
I think even Pikachu's VA has hints of that, right? Where it's just like you were obviously given studio notes where you have to do it at a certain pace. Because I know some of the names from the cast, the voice acting cast, and I'm like, no, you guys are great. You do good work. Clearly, you're not at fault here. Okay, like this isn't your fault. This is just you had specific instructions that created an experience that I could not fuck with
Yeah.
at all.
Put this in perspective, the Pikachu gameplay we've been watching through this entire segment has been Tim and Pikachu talking to the crotch of an executor.
Nice.
That's the tall pineapple tree Pokemon the entire time. Now they're looking at some apples. That's the pace we're looking at here.
Yep.
So
Nice. I have two questions for you. One is, do they follow the same formula from the movie in that this is like a man trapped in Pikachu's body?
Unclear. I obviously did not finish this thing, so I don't know where it goes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I don't think so, because Pikachu and the dad are two totally different dudes. Like they're out there, they're around, they're separate entities. I'm pretty
Gotcha.
sure in the movie it was the same guy. So yeah, great if you loved the first one and want to see where the story goes, or if you're 10, like
Right.
the same age as the protagonist in the mainline games. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
So then the other thing is like, is there like any sort of battle system in these games or
No,
like no? Okay.
no. You were talking to people and you were solving mysteries. The mechanics involve you gathering clues and trying to piece together who did what or how. And it's clear, right? You're never lost, but that's also kind of the downside.
Right.
The nice thing is that if you figure out before you've gathered all the clues what the answer is, you can just kind of go in and do it. You just have to have gathered like a clue, and then you're good. You can kind of move on. That's basically those are the big upsides.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like Pokemon meets a dumbed down version of Ace Attorney.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Or like Professor Layton, one of
Right.
those games where you're sort of wandering around in a world solving mysteries.
Right.
Yep.
Gotcha.
sounds like the battle is you versus your will to keep playing the game.
Yar.
And who doesn't love to do that?
Oh.
Not like there's
my
other-
entire time with Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Okay.
Did you finish
Yeah.
it, Rhett?
Finished it. We did the whole thing on stream.
I couldn't.
Couldn't. Yeah. No. If I wasn't playing it on stream, if I hadn't really dedicated a series, you could say, to a full playthrough of this game, there's no way I would have finished it. It's fucking weak, man. This game is weak. Ubisoft, what are you doing? Like, this was in development for 3+ years, and this is what y'all came up with?
Well,
Okay.
I read that this was supposed to be DLC for Valhalla because Basim is in Valhalla
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it feels it.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
It's rough.
Okay. So break it down for me, because I have a similar opinion about every. I don't like the series. I never have. I make no secret about it. Break it down for me. What about this specific entry is fucked?
I mean, there's a lot to cover, but I'll start and then Paul, you can take over. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
very first thing that jumped out to me was it's shocking how bad the combat system is. It's shocking how mundane and lifeless the combat system is. One of the big reasons I loved classic Assassin's Creed was because you could get into the shoes of Altair or Ezio or even Connor for that matter in 3. And you could run into a room and be surrounded by 20 dudes and you could have this sort of John Wick-esque fight where you're deflecting and dodging and reversing and killing, and it all felt very fluid and natural. Whereas in this game, from the very first fight you have to the very last fight you have, nothing changes, nothing differentiates. It's a series of like dodges or parries for that matter, and then tapping the R1 button and slashing away at enemies that don't react to your attacks over and over and over again.
Oh
It's
my
insane.
God.
Man, it's insane how bad the combat is in this game. In 2023, you know, I'm playing Alan Wake on stream right now. That game is 15 years old, and it's fucking insane how more involved, how more dynamic the combat feels in that, as opposed to Assassin's Creed. Like, what the fuck have they been doing over the last 3 entries, where the combat system was like one of their main focuses? For them to come back with this new game with Mirage and seemingly have learned nothing from that, it blows me away. What the fuck?
So there's the thing in what you said. They want you to think this is a new game. But
Yeah.
as you're playing it, it is blatantly obvious that it's just Valhalla. But they decided, people like that old Assassin's Creed, how can we tweak this to make it feel like that? And they've failed miserably because it's still Valhalla underneath. So you've got your enemies that flash red when they've got an unblockable attack coming. It's that same thing, but without what made that combat mildly interesting. So now it's just, you know, like you were saying, Red, legions of mindless enemies that you just slash to pieces all the time.
Yeah.
And don't
The
get me wrong,
fact-
I like that you can now assassinate people. That's great.
Sure.
But and it's this, they almost would have been better going back to the old engine
Yeah.
and putting this together from that.
So I have
Yeah.
a question. Can you just like sneak up and one shot a dude? Like,
Yeah,
is that
everybody in the game you can
Okay.
sneak up in one shot theoretically.
okay?
But
Yeah.
there are situations where they do force you into combat.
Yeah.
The very first, there's a mission kind of near the beginning where you need to break into a prison and break a guy out. Did that mission entirely in stealth. Didn't have one single instance of being spotted. And then after you actually get the guy, for some reason, you're unlocking a door and they force you into this combat sequence with essentially the entire prison. And I don't know if I've ever had less fun. Definitely I've never had less fun with an Assassin's Creed game. Like, it was like, this game is on like, I won't say it's Redfall levels because I didn't experience like too many game breaking issues, but it is beyond mediocre. Beyond mediocre.
Yeah.
It's horrifically mundane.
It's definitely less than a 7. On
Less than a 7, and our reviewer, Cog Connected, we gave it an 86.
Oh,
An 86.
oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh my
No.
God.
Okay.
No,
It's like,
no.
I would, if I was reviewing this game, I probably would have given it a 66, maybe even a little bit lower into the 60s. 60.
It sounds
Yeah,
busted as fuck.
it's not great.
Well, that's
It's
the
not
thing. That's
great.
the thing. It's not busted. It's functional. But you know,
Mhm.
the lead up to this game, like, they're victims of their own advertising.
yeah.
And again, as is the Ubisoft classic maneuver, you know, they want you to think it's got all those old parkour mechanics that were great up until Black Flag, and you know, they've remapped some of the buttons, so now there's like a parkour button where you hold it down and you parkour. But it's it's Valhalla parkour. It's not old Assassin's Creed parkour. So I think if they wanted to go down this road and make it like the old games, they needed to go way further than this. Or if they
Uh,
wanted to make it like this little light overhaul that's meant to be a bolt-on to Valhalla, it needed to be less different. I don't
yeah,
know. It's a very mixed message, and it feels like designed by committee. Everybody had an idea of what they wanted to do, and they spat out this. Like, I will
yeah,
say that the world itself looks great.
yep.
Um,
Some good lighting.
Good lighting. The characters are not interesting at all.
Oh my
They're
god,
they're all disposable.
I was sleeping throughout the entire story. But what I will say about the parkour is that yeah, when it works well enough. Two big issues with it though. One, there are plenty of times where you will want to jump onto a ledge that's foot high, and your character just won't go there.
Mhm.
You'll need to shift a few feet over before he'll actually jump onto that. Or there's things like that happen that constantly are breaking up the flow of the parkour. It was driving me nuts. Um, and what else was I gonna say? Story's weak.
They
Parkour.
they
Oh yeah, no. One of the issues that it suffers from as well, the same thing that Assassin's Creed 3 suffered from, is that being in Baghdad in this time period, there's nothing tall to climb.
yeah.
So the leap of faith is still cool, but when you're doing it from a fucking 25-foot drop, like who gives a fuck? I miss the days of AC1 and 2 where you would climb up these massive structures and be soaring through the air as you do the leap of faith. Disappointing, man. Disappointing.
And at least back then, the climbing had something to it as well. One of the adjustments they made when they went to, I think it was Origins, the Egyptian one, is like now you just have this insane long jump that you can span just about any gap. So there's nothing interesting to climbing. There's no thinking about where
No.
you have to go. It's just hold
Yeah.
up and hold A, and you scale this thing at an unbelievable rate.
Yep.
Which, yeah, that's can be cool in its own way, but I don't know. It defeats the purpose. Like I said, it's confused in so many different ways.
Yeah.
If you really like Valhalla, you'll probably like this. But if you're like me, and sounds like you as well, Rhett, that you read the lead up to this game and thought this is a return to form, it's not. It's not that.
Listen, we've got a few viewers of the live streams in the chat right now. And my friend Neko here, she has a great point. She says, I felt like this game was just as boring to watch as it probably was to play.
Oh, brutal.
Ooh, that's not
Yeah.
good.
No.
That's not good.
So yeah, it didn't even do well from a viewer standpoint. So I don't know. It's a rough one.
Yeah.
It's a rough one. Ubisoft, I don't know. This is not it. This is not it.
It makes me very worried for that Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah. I don't know,
Because
like
they also make that look really fucking cool. But if
People are
it's
talking about
designed
that.
like this, oh
yeah. People are talking about Star Wars. People are talking about Skull and Bones. Is that what their pirate game is?
oh,
It's
that's
going to be coming.
no, that's definitely going to be less than a 7.
So yeah. So like, I don't know how anybody could put any sort of faith into Ubisoft at this point. It's just they're just a mediocre developer, and they
They're
didn't
a s-
always
they're-
used to be like this.
They've been, in my heart, they've been a 7 out of 10 developer.
Yeah,
for
like they are
almost as long as I've known that they were a thing.
the epitome of a 7 out of 10 developer. It's crazy. 3+ years this was in development. What the fuck were they doing?
Meanwhile, and this is my segue, Insomniac has put out banger after banger after banger after banger in the last 3 years. And guess what? The party don't stop. Because our boy here has played Spider-Man 2. He's finished Spider-Man 2. Rhett,
Played
how is
Spider-Man
it?
2, finished it to 100%. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, quite frankly.
Okay.
It's a masterpiece.
Okay.
The first game that I've ever given 100 to. and I think that it deserves it
And I
wholeheartedly.
believe you were quoted by Insomniac as saying it's the greatest superhero game ever made, period.
They did
Huh.
drop, yeah, they did drop one of my quotes in one of their tweets. Very thankful for them doing that. Appreciate that.
So it
But you
absolutely
know,
rips, right?
it absolutely rips. You know, was I was actually going to score the game at 99 just due to a few minor technical issues. A little bit of a wonky camera at times, especially when you're in the stealth segments and like you're zipping around. Because you have this new webline ability that you can shoot across rooms and tightrope across it.
Ooh, all
And
right.
when you have several of those set up and you're zipping between them, at times you can end up in a position where the camera doesn't exactly know what you should be looking at. So it may take you a few seconds to resituate yourself. But just little minor things like that. Mannequin-esque NPCs, you know, like of course, what game doesn't have that these days? But so I was gonna score the game at 99 based off of just those minor issues. But I was reading your review, Paul, from 2018 Spider-Man, and you had called it the greatest superhero game ever at that point, and
Yep.
undoubtedly, Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man 1. Remember maybe it was a month or two ago we were talking about this and I was saying how I was worried that the game didn't really look like it was going to differentiate itself enough from the first one. But essentially from the very beginning of it, I'm proven wrong by that. This does feel very much like the evolution that the series needed. I've read a few other reviews and people have been saying, well, you know, the side content still isn't as great as they maybe wanted it to be, but I disagree. I had a ton of fun with all the side content. I didn't think that any of it was, well, no, I shouldn't say that. There were a few missions that didn't hit as hard as some of the other ones, but then there were a couple side missions that made me tear up. And they do a lot of interesting things like, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but do you remember in The Last of Us when, I think it was Last of Us 2, when there was a certain specific upgrade bench that you would go to, and out of nowhere somebody would attack you from behind on it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's just like threw this little bit of a wrench into what otherwise might be a bit of a repetitive process in a game. And Spider-Man does things like that. That I felt it constantly kept me on my toes and kept me second guessing things and kept me engaged in ways that maybe the first game didn't necessarily do. It's supremely acted. Supremely acted. Our boy, what's his name? Yuri?
Yeah.
Something
yeah,
or other.
Peter's
Yeah,
actor,
it's Peter.
Yuri.
Like he's killing it again. Obviously, the guy that plays Miles as well, he kills it again. But the real standout performances for me, the one specifically, was Jim Peary as Craven. Holy fuck. That
Really?
dude that dude went all out for this one. Yeah, he's fucking phenomenal. To the point where like I would love to see him do a Craven on the big screen. And like Craven was
really?
never a villain that I really thought was all that interesting, you know, but this is by far the most fascinating, the most nuanced, the most entertaining version of Craven I've ever seen in Spider-Man. He's really the driving force. I know that there's a lot of hype about Venom, but he's really the driving force throughout the story. Venom, not that Venom is like a side project by any means or a side character by any means, but it definitely feels like it's Craven's game. You know, if you're not talking about it being a Peter or a Miles game, it definitely feels like it's a Craven story first. And then, you know, again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but you know, and then based off of what goes down with Craven and whatnot, other things start to play out. But yeah, supremely acted, supremely written. Yeah, Insomniac showing again why they're not only some of the best gameplay developers in the business right now, but why they have some of the best writers in the business right now.
And literally the best acquisition value in gaming history, because PlayStation bought Insomniac for like $200 million.
Oh God, yeah. If they're going to continue to churn things out like this, then Man, if
And
this,
by all accounts, they're an incredible place to work for because they don't make people crunch somehow, and yet
yeah.
they're putting out
Well, I mean,
just
this game did
massive.
take this game did take 5+ years to develop, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
between then and now, that same team made Miles Morales. They made
Mhm.
Spider-Man Remastered. They made Ratchet and Clank,
Ratchet and Clank, yeah, that's
Rift
right. They
Apart. The
did do
same team.
that.
It's not different teams. It's just Insomniac.
Yeah, it's
So
not like Ubisoft, who's got fucking Montreal and
Shanghai
Lost in
and
Shanghai
Paris
and
and
Dubai and
yep.
fucking yeah. Gameplay is absolutely fantastic though. This by far is the game that makes the best use out of the PS5 specs that we've seen yet. By
Yeah.
far, hands down, nothing even comes close. And like,
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen the like fast travel loading screens or
they're
the like total
non-existent.
lack thereof, where it's just
Non-existent.
like you like go to the menu, the map, you're like, all right, to go here, you exit the menu and you're there. You're just like,
Absolutely.
what the fuck?
It's insane how fast the game gets to the main menu. It's insane how fast the game loads your save files. And it's insane how fast the fast travel is. Long, long, long gone are the days of riding the subway with Peter. Essentially, as soon as you hit fast travel, you're loaded into your new spot and you're zipping along, and it's tremendous. The fact that the PS5 has so much more processing power over the PS4 as well, that has dramatically given Insomniac the chance to increase the swing speed.
Mm.
You actually rip through this game. You fly through this game. It gets to the point.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I thought I read somewhere that you can turn off some of the swing assists as well if you want to make it harder.
Yeah, so there's like a swing assist that comes in the way of a meter, a 10-point meter essentially. So you can kind of fine tune it. And yeah, it's true. The game by default is set to 10, so it's got max swing assist. But if you kick it down to 0, you can definitely feel physics come into play more so. Like if you attach a web to a building on your right hand side, you're going to be pulled to the right as opposed to just staying in the middle of the street, you know? So that's fun, that's cool. You also need to take in height into account. Like if you're far away from a building and you're relatively close to the ground, you are going to end up on the ground by shooting a web to that building, you know what I mean? It takes all that stuff into account and it works really, really well. I don't know how many people are going to play like that because especially with it being on by default, the swing assist, by the time that I realized that I could do that, I had already gotten so used to the assisted swinging that it became a little bit difficult to adjust to. But if you play like that from the get-go, you'll probably have a more rewarding experience doing the web swinging. But yeah, again, the fact that the PS5 can just load things so much faster, the processing power is so much higher. You move throughout the city a lot quicker, and the city's way more dense and packed. You see cars way down the way, whether you're swinging down the street and you're looking down the horizon, or if you're up on top of a building and you're looking out across the city, you're going to see the streets bustling. And it's something that I've always wanted to see in a Spider-Man game, and in games like this in general. It always takes me out of the experience when I'm, say, in Grand Theft Auto Online, for example, and you're up in your apartment and you're looking down at the street and you can see that there's only cars that are driving along the two streets that are closest to you, and everything in the distance is completely barren. That's not the case here, and it works really, really well. Regardless of the fact that the NPCs walking down the streets look like mannequins, it all works very, very well.
I don't take too much issue with mannequin NPCs in a Spider-Man game. You're meant to be above the ground. You're meant to be swinging around. The mannequin, they're window dressing. Doesn't really matter what's going on there, but
I spent very, very little time on the streets, other than when a side quest or one of those like crimes would take me to the streets. That's essentially the only time I was actually down there. No, I've had a phenomenal time with it. Took me about 31 hours to hit the 100% mark. There's a lot of surprises in store. and I really want you all to play it so I can talk to you about these surprises. Because without a doubt, they have set up the third game.
Oh,
So I want to be able to talk to you all about that so much.
Well, it's definitely on my list.
Man, you have to play it. You have to play it. It's. I think every game reviewer is going to have this in their top 10. Most will have it in their top 5, and I think most will also have it in the discussion for being the game of the year. It's got some stiff competition. Final Fantasy's
Damn.
up there. Baldur's Gate is up there. But holy fuck, Paul, if you liked the first one, which I know you did, you gave it 100. You are going to have such a good time with this one.
yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. Really upset that I'm going to be out of town over the weekend, so I'm going to be playing probably
Yeah.
like Mario Wonder first, but Spider-Man is going to follow shortly thereafter.
Ugh.
But it's interesting you say you flirted with like a 99 versus an 100. I had the same conversation with myself with that first game because it's like I don't love the Mary Jane missions, and
Yeah.
some of this
Oh.
feels like padding. It feels too long, but then I was like, but the core of this thing is so good. I
Yeah.
can't not.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned the Mary Jane missions because I didn't really like the Mary Jane missions or the Miles missions in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess Mary Jane has gotten some training or something between games because now she's actually able to handle herself a little bit. She's got this like electrocution gun that she can use to stun enemies with, and yeah, those
Yes,
are
MJ.
way more fun than they were in the first game.
We're watching just some gameplay video. I think it's from IGN. It looks so much better than any of the content that they released before, like pre-release. It looks stunning.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is. We're talking about good lighting in Mirage. This blows it out of the water. In whatever situation you're in, whether it's morning, noon, night, if it's pissing rain, if it's cloudy. Oh man, it just looks so good. The attention to detail is really spot on.
How's the music?
Music is fantastic, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because there are a couple instances. I wish that there were more, only because these couple instances were so good, but there were a few times that they made tremendous use of some licensed music.
Oh, really?
Big shout out to they use The Cure at one point.
Nice.
And yeah. Really fucking good, man. Really fucking good. Obviously, it's gonna have that Hans Zimmer-esque superhero style feel to a lot of what's going on, but it all works tremendously. You know, it crescendos when it needs to, it slows down and gets sad when it needs to. It you know, when you're swinging throughout the city, it makes you feel like a fucking superhero. Very good. Very good score. And the sounds of the city as well and what's going on and you know the chatter that you'll hear between NPCs and all that. It's all great. It's all great.
God, I'm getting so fucking pumped just hearing you talk about this fucking game, man.
Bro, like man, oh man, I want you guys to play it so bad. I want to be able to talk more about it so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe we should plan for a Spider-Man spoiler cast.
Oh, yeah, all right.
You know, maybe
I don't know when. There's a whole week where I'm gonna be in the Bahamas, so like,
okay.
but
Well, maybe in December, maybe around there.
I don't know when. We'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
that's
There's
some
just
good,
gonna be a
like-
little time where I'm gonna be like, sorry, out of office.
That's some good game of the year holiday content kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, gave it 100, my first 100 that I've ever given, and I couldn't recommend it more to everybody. Whether you're a Spider-Man fan or not, if you play video games and you have a PS5, you owe it to yourself to play this game.
Yeah.
It's really fucking good.
Man, what a year. James giving his first 100 as well to Final Fantasy 16 this year.
That's right. That's right.
Honestly, as I was writing the review, and especially when we came to the point where I gave it 100, I was like, oh fuck, our game of the year discussion is going to be really tough. It's really going to be tough to figure out.
Yeah.
Oh man, between Final Fantasy and Spider-Man, I just don't know right now. I just don't know. Like,
oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see. And viewers, listeners, you'll have to stay tuned for that. It's been promised to be a bloodbath in the past, but this might be the year that it actually comes to blows, virtually
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
personally, physically. I don't know.
Yeah, our Game of the Year cast, they usually end up being a bit more cordial than you would expect. But yeah, this year, it might be a little different.
Yeah.
This year we'll have to make sure that everybody's got their fucking game face on, so to speak.
Is that...
Yes, it's directed specifically at you, Rhett.
All right. I feel that. Trying to put last year's out of my mind. I feel that.
I can't imagine how hard that would be.
Fuck.
Yeah, it got weird.
Listen, I listen now. If anything, I know now what not to take before doing a Game of the Year podcast. So it's great. We're gonna be good.
Yeah. We're gonna be Gucci, man. We're gonna be fucking in it to win it. Yeah. So no, I believe in it, man. It's gonna be good. Yeah. Paul, do you have anything else you played before we get into my shit?
Played Forza.
Oh yeah. I dipped into that.
And
It's strange because they want you to think and believe that this is a direct Gran Turismo competitor. It's not.
no way.
It's
No
not the
way.
same kind of game. Gran Turismo, pure simulation, or as pure as it gets on console without going to something like iRacing.
Yeah.
Forza just is not that. It's somewhere between Gran Turismo and Forza Horizon. So it wants to be flashy. The physics often don't make a ton of sense, like especially in the rain. It's for show, not for this is racing in the rain. So it's potentially a little bit more for a casual audience. So I could see a casual racing fan liking it more than Gran Turismo. But for me, I was like, this feels a little bit too much like I'm playing Grid.
Oh,
It's
that's not
like
great.
power sliding around corners and things. I'm like, this shouldn't be possible. And cars didn't necessarily feel the way I would expect them to feel moment to moment while you're playing it. But for the most part, it looks good. It plays relatively well. I was playing it on PC. That port, not good. It has a lot of issues. It crashed quite a few times, missing a ton of graphical settings content that I would expect to be there on a PC version. Like it feels like the PC one came in hot for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's a racing game to play on the Xbox. So if you want to play racing games on the Xbox, you've got this. But for myself, I would way rather play GT if I wanted to race. I'd way rather play Forza Horizon if I wanted to have an arcade experience. Also,
Yeah.
the AI is trash in Forza Motorsport.
Oh, is it? Is there rubber banding, or do they just not know
Not
how
that
to
I really
drive?
noticed, but the AI is so dumb.
So you're constantly getting crashed into on corners. And whatnot.
Crashed into, or it goes the other way and goes to like the Gran Turismo 2. Here's this lineup of cars that won't do anything but drive in this line. Like I didn't test this out myself, but I saw some videos where someone had just parked a car sideways in the middle of the racetrack, and the cars don't go around; they just stop and wait.
Yeah, perfect.
Smart AI.
Smart. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
James, what do you think?
I did a handful of races, maybe like 7 to 10, just to like get the feel for it. I was pretty bored. Cause like mechanically it feels like a little bit like Forza Horizon, because you've got the smart setup of like driving assist systems that you can like tweak perfectly. So you're like, do you want this to be a more chilled layback experience or not? And I gravitated more towards not, because I wanted to see kind of what they were all about. But like, I don't know, for me, this isn't like a dig in the game. This is just me personally. When you take away the cool music and the fucking and the expansive, interesting setting, and you're just like racing on a track, you're like, I'm so fucking bored. like, like it's just I don't think I'm a simulation racing guy in any capacity. And so the closer you get to that, the more I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
So
James,
bored.
you should try Grid.
Yeah.
That's an awesome arcade racer where you're just sliding around in this nonsense all the time.
Sick. I love nonsense.
But
Or even the Crew Motorsport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Motor Fest rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd like that a lot more than Forza. How does Forza look at least?
Great.
It looks pretty good for the most part. In the context of racing, it looks fine. I don't think the car models are as good. And if you stop and really take a look around, I think the fidelity is not the same as GT. But that's not the end of the
Yeah.
world.
Right.
I think what it comes down to is what kind of racing do you want to do? You want simulation racing. I don't think I could recommend Forza for that. It's fun enough for driving around and racing around, but yeah, I just don't see it being as rewarding to play long term. There's a lot
No.
of like the growth systems. It's almost like an RPG system where your car levels up, and as your car levels up, then you can do things to this car, but it's not to this type of car. It is this car. So if you ever sell that car, your level goes out the window and you'd be back to level 0 on your Honda Civic Type R or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, there's things like that that I don't think are the best design choices as well. Yeah. I don't know that I have too many more thoughts about this. I think this is like right around a 7. Maybe a little more than a 7, like a 7.5. Maybe an 8.
Fucking
Yeah.
Microsoft, man. They just can't seem to figure it out these days. I remember the days when people would talk about Forza and Motorsport, about how it was arguably one of the biggest franchises for Microsoft, how it was, next to Halo. It was one of the most important things they had. And look at them now. They just can't seem to get it right with anything they do. Forza, Starfield, apparently. Redfall was a complete disaster.
I'm ashamed to say I played more Starfield too.
Me too.
Oh yeah, I
I'm sorry.
probably will. Yeah, when it's all said and done, I'm sure I'll.
Yeah,
play
like
Starfield.
it's a very goddamn playable game.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not like the system seller that people wanted it to be, or maybe even people expected it to be.
No.
I don't know if you've seen this too, James, but the more you play that game, the more broken it gets.
I have not seen that.
You playing on Xbox or
Xbox
PC?
Series X?
Okay. Well, I'm playing on PC. So this might be a PC specific kind of thing. But it's not the fun Bethesda broken. It's not the fun Bethesda bugs where, the alien launches 19 miles into the sky. It's the kind of bug where the character you're supposed to talk to for this quest is no longer on the map.
Oh, perfect!
has-
I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you try to find them on the map, which Starfield doesn't actually have maps, really. The trash surface maps. You can't really see where anything is anyway. No city maps either. Bafflingly. But
Wicked.
yeah, one guy I was supposed to talk to from the news network, he had teleported somewhere into the center of the planet Jemison, so he could not be found. So the only way for me to complete this quest and therefore complete a quest line was to use a console command to bring him back and therefore mark my save file as being modded and disable achievements on the game.
Wow!
Good job, guys.
Wow!
And it's not like a obscure quest. This is a main quest. One of the main faction quests.
So I'm glad I'm not playing it right now. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Maybe give it 6 months or so for it to be cleaned up a bit.
But yeah, I've also said this in the last podcast we did as well, but they want you to think there's a ton of content here. And yes, there is quite a bit of quest content. There's some really good quest content as well. But there's so much reuse of assets. It's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Is almost every one of the random bases that you will run into on a planet are repurposed from the main quest or a faction quest. And there's literally only one variant of each one of those things. So if you run across a deserted listing post, it's the deserted listing post with items and chests and enemies all in 100% the same spot as they are in the main quest. Zero variation. Like the number of advanced regulators I've picked up off of the same table is off the charts. Like there's zero variation. So anyone who's saying that there is variation there, there's not.
They're wrong.
Maybe that's a
God,
bug.
that
Maybe that's a
sounds
glitch.
enticing.
But it does not work for me currently. There's no reason to go away from doing the quest lines, which is supposedly the attraction of playing this game. 1,000 planets, go off and do all this stuff. It's all the same stuff. Anyway, I still played like 100 hours of this thing, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Microsoft, man. Well, now that they own Activision Blizzard, officially.
yeah, I guess we should talk about that, huh?
Is that more news or what, James? You're playing stuff before we.
Yeah, James, what are you playing?
Well, I got a 4 or 5 little ones. I'll just rattle off real quick. Some little things. First off, Disgaea 7. If you love the series, this one's gonna fucking probably do it for you. They made some subtle changes that I really fucking appreciate, and some that kind of frustrate me. But like, one thing that I found was a real fucking game changer is that they have an auto battle system that they implemented in the last game, and they changed it so that auto battle system requires fuel, so that you gather through regular battles. But at the same time, you can spend all of that fuel at once, and instead of just watching battles play out automatically over a period of like minutes or hours or days, you could just gather up all your resources and do 100 fights in 30 seconds. And it's just like, you want to grind fast? Holy fuck, you can grind fast. So that's cool. And yeah, it's just there's little mechanical systems like hell mode and jumpification that make boss battles and regular battles more interesting, because the shit that you can do, most enemies can also do. Like every enemy can do that Godzilla size shit to like make a battle more interesting, and like every boss can go hell mode, and hell mode can really fuck up the flow of things and like really throw you for a loop. So that's cool. It's just another like crazy deep entry. Also, I've been playing Cyberpunk, the 2.0, the 2.0 version.
Nice.
Which I've enjoyed because I found the skill system more interesting, more involved. I found the fucking cyberware thing more interesting because you have like a hard limit where it's like, if you go over this, you're in cyber psycho territory. So good luck, fucker.
See, I didn't realize. So that limits a new thing. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's a new addition. So like but you have perks that you can pick up that will like increase your resistance to cyberpsychosis. And you can upgrade all sorts of crazy shit within your like your cybernetics. There's like a whole separate like skill system on top of the perks that is just earned through doing certain actions. So if you're like stealth killing people, or like using tech weapons, or like doing hacks, or like all sorts of crazy shit like that, then those skill markers are going up, and you're getting like passives and shit like that from acquiring those skills. So like that's cool. That's fucking sick. Also, it's not new, but I like tried to be a little more stealthy for a couple of major missions. Like the key mission where your partner beefs it or whatever. That one, you can do most of that mission without alerting a single fucking enemy, which I did not realize in my first playthrough and really appreciated on my next go round. Where it's just like it's like because your boy is just like, no, we can stealth this, and they're like, all right, let's fucking do it. Because if you don't, then they just start showing up and like ruining your day with like high powered weapons and kicking the shit out of you. But if you go in quiet, then they never have a chance to use any of them. And like the fucking the quick hack system is not new so much, but like the other systems that they've updated have affected indirectly the quick hack system, so that's cool. Yeah, so that's been a really good time. It runs really smooth. I've had like no fucking problems running on a PS5. And I think the last thing I want to talk about is just this afternoon, actually. A new piece of hardware came in that I'm reviewing. No embargo, so I'm just going to talk about it because it's been out for a hot minute. But it's an arcade stick, and I've never used an arcade stick before, ever in my life. Well, I've never owned one. I've used one a handful of times, but I've never owned one before. And I got to tell you, man, it really fucking changes the fighting games dynamic completely. Where you're like, the way you hold it, the way you approach it, the way you do inputs, all of that shit is completely different. And it really like just like changes your approach to like your strategy and shit like that, and like, it's a fascinating experience, and I'm probably gonna have a lot more to say about it the next time we talk. But like, man, it fucking rips. If you're a fighting game guy, man, you don't have a arcade stick, you need a goddamn arcade stick. I don't know what you're doing.
Oh, there's a reason why 99% of pro fighting game players use them.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
whip ass.
Which games are you playing with it?
I was testing the Street Fighter collection on the Switch. So I was playing like Street Fighter 3, like Third Strike or whatever. And then it was like a couple other variations of that. And then I was playing I messed around with Streets of Rage 4.
Mm.
Also on the Switch, and then I did a couple of runs of Guilty Gear Strive on Xbox, which
Nice.
yeah, that's great. It's fascinating because you're using that like big flat 8-button layout, and it really changes the way you approach like combos and shit like that. Where you're like, well, I got to move from this into this into this, and you have to like move your hand. And it's crazy. You have to like learn how to play these games all over again, which for me is fine because I forget a lot of my fighting game shit between bouts of interest in the genre, anyways. So whatever. But yeah, it's from Monoprice, I believe, is the company that manufactures it. And yeah, I'll have a lot more to say about it, but it's been a real eye-opening, fascinating experience. Seriously using an arcade stick for the first time.
So you got it going on Xbox and Switch. Is it compatible with PC, PS5 as well?
PC and PS4 for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It specifically does not list PS5.
Okay.
I have not tested that. I'm curious.
Yeah.
But you can play PS4 games on the 5.
Right.
So I'm thinking you can probably run it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't actually have a ton of PlayStation fighting games. So that is something I'll have to investigate in the future.
James, is it the Monoprice Dark Matter arcade fighting stick?
Correct.
There's a video for that, so just put that up. This thing looks
Yeah.
fucking sweet.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's got good heft to it. It feels great. Like I will say you have to do some weird wizardry shit to get it running on Xbox. Basically, you like plug in the rig, the actual arcade stick, and then there's like a whole second set of cords that you run from the arcade stick to an Xbox controller. and then they both have to be activated at the same time, and then you could use the arcade stick.
Yeah, that looked pretty sweet.
Yeah. The stick itself feels good, the buttons feel good, so it's all like that's cool. It runs decently well on the two systems I've tried on it so far. I don't actually have my laptop, so I haven't really tried any like PC shit, but
Apparently, they're legit arcade components. So, if you know what an arcade stick feels like, you probably like this thing.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It feels good. Yeah, so I don't know. Check that shit out if you're so inclined. I'll have a full review probably in like a week.
Nice.
Super
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
What else, James? I was promised 4 or 5 things, and I think that was 3.
Okay, that's fair. So there's Cyberpunk, the arcade stick, and Disgaea. Mm, boy, I think I might have oversold. I was definitely playing more Starfield, but I feel like we've kind of gotten into that. I'm tore up because it takes a while to invest the points you need into stuff like starship design. And I really want to make starships, but I keep getting distracted and pouring points into other shit because there's just so many things like the commerce and the combat is fine. You don't really need to dump a bunch of points into that. You just need a decent weapon and the ability to aim it properly. And like if you have one that you've put a few points into, it's fine. You're good to go. And like yeah, it's the combat. There's like a system where you'll like hover over a planet. It's like it's this level, so you should be this level if you ever go in. I don't know if I've ever really paid attention to that, and I've mostly been fine.
Yeah, it's complete nonsense.
Yeah. So you don't really need to dump so far. You don't really need to dump many points into combat to be okay. You can mostly put it into cool non-combat shit that like you need to access, specifically like starship and weapon design. Even weapon design, I feel like you could probably leave by the wayside. Also, what's cool is I've been watching a lot of Monster Factory, so I've been seeing the McElroys do horrible shit in the character creator. I was like, they have a system where you can just walk in even when you're halfway through your game and like fuck things up a little bit. So, make the eyes as big as possible, stick the eye sockets as far out of the face as you can, stick the rest of the face kind of like indented, change the shape of the nose so it's barely there, kind of like expand the size of the lips, kind of give it the whole head a kind of like a light bulb wrapped in skin kind of look. It's good.
What's really, it's not shocking because it's Bethesda and this is what you expect from them. But this is almost Fallout 4.
Mhm.
Like so many of the mechanics have a direct analog in Fallout 4, a game that is now 8 years old.
Mm.
Right down to the weapons. Because I was thinking about this the other day. There are like 2 laser weapons. There's a laser pistol and a laser rifle. Fallout 4, there's a laser pistol and a laser rifle. Starfield, it's the Solstice and the Equinox. Fallout 4, there are 2 plasma weapons. There's a plasma pistol and a plasma rifle. Starfield, there are 2 plasma weapons. The Varun pistol and the Varun rifle. It's stunning that they just like
I mean, did we
remodeled. They
expect
remodeled these
anything
things.
else though?
Yes,
You had
I
to
did.
know.
I
You
I
had to
did know,
know.
but I did expect different. Like,
Yeah.
just tell me it's the same. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll probably still play it. Don't
Yeah.
tell me it's different because it's not.
Oh yeah. No, if they sold it as Fallout 4 in space, I would have been probably more on board with it, to be honest.
Listen,
Or,
I half
Fallout
expected
in space.
I half expected to get to a main quest where it would literally tell you this is in the same world as Fallout.
Mm. Ah.
Didn't get that. So
Yeah.
it's different. Also, all the
Right.
planets have the same aliens.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There's a small handful, but you run into the same shit all the time. Anyway,
Yeah.
Starfield, my friends. Let's move on
Not in
before.
the running for game of the year.
No,
No,
absolutely
not at
not.
all. No.
Show me the person that has this as game of the year.
Yeah, not even in the top 10, maybe in the top 15 if we get no. There's too many things. There's too many things for it to even be in the top 15.
Yeah.
Way too many. Because I suspect we're all going to have very different tens. Some commonality for sure, but I think the bottom 5 or 6 will probably be very different. Anyway,
Yeah. I think so.
news. Microsoft finally bought Activision. That's the news.
Yeah, I mean, it has a different flavor to it, this announcement, now that we've seen some of their IP trotted out and released into the wild in the months since the fucking announcement first dropped. You know what I mean? Where it was just like the Microsoft that first tried this shit and the Microsoft that finally succeeded feel like two kind of different companies. And like, I don't quite have the same faith in them that I did back in the day, which even then wasn't a whole lot. You know?
I hear you, man. What I find very funny, also a little disturbing. We know how many fanboys there are out there. There's Sony fanboys, Nintendo fanboys, there's Xbox fanboys, fangirls, all in between.
Yeah.
How quickly the Xbox community has pivoted to this narrative of look at the performance of Xbox first party, which now includes all of Activision, all of Blizzard, everything that Bethesda made before they were part of Xbox, all these things. It's shocking. And they'll put up these graphs of like, here's everything Xbox released this year. And they're putting like Diablo 4 and, Diablo 4 had an incredible release and this really high Metascore. And look how many few things PlayStation has released. Ooh, boo, PlayStation. Like, it's so disingenuous. If you're one of these people, just stop it. Honestly.
Here's the deal. If you're crunching the numbers and releasing the graphs, you're not a gamer. You're a fucking accountant, okay? And you've already lost. You've already failed, okay? When you're like, oh, they had this many titles with this much Metascore. It's like, no, you've already fucked up. The argument is over. You have lost. I did not need to say a word. You have fucked it up completely before the game even began. Because, like, are you hoping to get a job in the boardroom, getting them coffee? Like, are you hoping if you lick enough boot that you'll fucking get a foot in the door? Like, what is your game plan here? I don't give a fuck how many, like, games they put out with what meta score for each individual platform. Like, that's the least important shit you could possibly focus on.
Unless you're one of the people who then engages with these people. Do not feed the trolls. There's a reason that you don't feed the gremlins after midnight. Don't feed the trolls at any time of day.
Yeah. I had someone accuse me on the Spider-Man review on the YouTube video of getting a fat check from Sony for my score. I'm like, oh man, if you only knew. If you only knew. There was not a cent made on this review, my friend.
Yeah, we're basically in this for the love of the games.
Yeah.
Like, nobody pays us for this shit. Are you kidding me?
And if you do believe that, you believe that reviewers get paid, I want you to take a look at the industry. Look how many people get fucking laid off from the companies that actually make the games and actually make money. Do you think they have the capital to pay Rhett to give Spider-Man 100 out of 100? The answer is No, no,
Yeah.
they don't.
No.
Well, yeah.
I mean, shit. At this point, I'd take a 20 spot. I'll give you 100 if you throw me a 20 spot. That's fine. Pay for my McDonald's tonight, and I'll give you
Yeah.
100. Fuck it.
We're both very buyable, and there are no buyers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like
there's a price list and everything. You know, nobody's cashed that in though.
nobody's
Yeah.
cashing, nobody's biting. Yeah, like I've always found the entire console war mentality to be completely mind-numbing and totally exhausting. Like basically what it means is that like you had a decision made for you when you were a young person, like a teenager or a child, where your parents bought you a console and thus was your destiny forever set. You know, or it's just like, this is the one that I got for Christmas, so this is the one that's the best. It's just,
Yep.
man, listen, if you're still living with your parents, you're probably not paying rent. You can just buy all of them. It's fine.
Yep.
Like not everybody can do that. Not everybody can buy every console. I did because I have problems in my brain and a need to be included in every conversation. I'm a very unhealthy individual, but I still did it. But you don't have to do that. But you also don't have to make your purchasing decisions into your fucking personality.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you can just basically look at the string of mediocrity that Microsoft has released over the past year and a half, 2 years, and I think it's pretty obvious that you should be getting a PlayStation 5 at this point. That's just me.
At the same time, PlayStation releases a scant handful of exceptional titles. It appears to either be 10 out of 10 or nothing. Seems to be the model. And there's a lot of nothing. And their Game Pass competitor is fucked. I have
True.
no idea why anybody pays for that for any reason.
Yeah, yeah, it is pretty weak right now. I still
It-
refuse to subscribe to it.
I might not even resubscribe to PlayStation Plus like generally. Like I just might not do it. I'm paid up until next July. I might not renew just because they're like, well, we need $100 from you just so you can continue using this like shitty service. If you want access to any sort of game catalog, that's going to be $40 more on top of that. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but bro, they just added Gotham Knights to the list. How could you not want to play that for
Yeah,
free?
I already pay for Xbox Game Pass, which has that piece of shit
Oh,
if
it's
I'm
on
so
there?
inclined. Yeah, yeah. Heads up, friends. Most of them come this way. You only really need one, and you get more day one games on Game Pass.
Yeah, yeah.
The point is, they'll have their strengths. Nintendo,
Like if they
Nintendo Online has no strengths. Stop.
no.
Don't
If
go
Nintendo
there.
Online has no strengths, the only reason to be a Nintendo guy is because the IP is good, right? They have
Yeah.
good IP, and they um they tend to price their hardware a little bit under the competitors because their shit is not as powerful. That's kind of it. I'm a Nintendo guy because I like all the games they release. I recognize that what they do is bum jumped and needs fixing.
Did y'all see that in Super Mario Wonder there's no collision between co-op
I
characters?
heard about that. That feels weird.
wait,
Like
what is not there? No collision
If you're
between
you're
what?
playing multiplayer, you can't run into your fellow characters. They
Ah,
go right through each other.
right. And you could do that in 1985 on the Nintendo, right?
Yeah, that was like part of the
Perfect.
game was
Interesting.
sending Luigi to his death.
Right.
yeah, when I play Super Mario Brothers Wii U or whatever with my wife, it's important that we be able to accidentally kill each other when
Oh,
we're
yes.
fighting for space on a platform.
Crucial.
That's a big part of the experience.
Yeah.
if she's not yelling at me because I accidentally kicked her into fucking oblivion, I don't know what we're doing here. But I have heard the clips of the new voice actor who does Mario and Luigi, and it's good.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, yes, it sounds younger because the person is younger, like make no mistake. But it captures the energy and the vibe. And I mean, come on, man. People can do a Mario impression. It's
Oh, yeah.
not it's they just found somebody with a small resume, but a resume who the person, the dude Kevin has a handful of little roles, but that's it. He's a mostly unknown talent, right? Who can do a pretty fucking good Mario and Luigi. I don't know what else you need from the guy. Nothing. You need nothing. He's good. He's in. He's their guy for another couple of decades.
Yeah, you don't want somebody who's going to be in demand from elsewhere. You want a guy
Yeah.
who is Mario day in and day out.
Yeah, he's got nothing else going on, and that's important.
Yeah, I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to ask you guys about, on the PlayStation side of things, Jim Ryan leaving PlayStation. A lot of speculation that that's something to do with the strategy that he's got them going on. If that's more of turning towards being a games as a service kind of business, or do you think he's just old and he's ready to retire?
I mean, if you got this subscription service and they charge as much as they do for it, it seemed to me like Spider-Man 2 should have been on it. Maybe old Jimmy had a hand in not delivering that, you know?
Mm.
So maybe he does. Maybe it is his time.
I'll be honest, I don't really have any thoughts about it because, like,
Yeah.
he's not super old, right? Like, he's just like
No, he's like
He's in,
60
like-
or something.
he's like 60, yeah. So like, he's probably just out. Like, it's just Reggie did the same thing where he was just like, I can probably walk at this point. It's fine.
Yeah.
Take
Made
take
my
your
money.
take your golden parachute and find some other business to like get your fist all the way up in, and go from there. I don't honestly know what it is that he contributed to PlayStation as a whole. I know that they did great and he was there. I don't know if the two things are connected in any meaningful way. I feel like most CEOs are just sort of like in the room because somebody needs to be in that chair.
Yeah, he was an operations guy. He's like Tim Cook at Apple. You know,
Okay.
he knows business and he knows how to get money out of people, and that's why he was successful. But
Yeah.
he's not like a gamer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but it's
Phil
like it's
Spencer
fucking
wants to be.
gaming.
Yeah.
Make a good game and you'll get money out of people.
Yep.
You know, it's not that difficult.
Well,
I could. You know what? I could fucking do that job. In fact, I'm gonna apply.
Wish you luck.
you say it's just make a good game, but like the fact that the indie market has like completely plateaued indicates that like no.
Yeah,
you
because
don't
everybody just wants to make a fucking roguelike these days. There's nothing creative coming out of anybody now.
there are definitely trends that have fallen out of favor
Yeah.
that like
Also-
yeah.
Just get good.
Also, the company that is worth like $2 trillion can't seem to make a good game. That being
Facts.
Microsoft.
Facts.
So it's not quite that simple, but
Their problem is that
results matter,
there's-
right?
there's too much bullshit, and it's all coming out on that Game Pass. So nobody has to spend any money to realize that it's bullshit. And they're not making that capital.
Yeah,
know?
make no mistake, Game Pass was a horrendous business decision.
Yeah.
It's an incredible value for consumers, but it will not do what they want it to do.
Right.
That's just business. You know,
yeah,
they can,
that's
that's why they're trying to buy all the studios that they possibly can, because that's the only way to feed the beast is if they
Right.
own the studio and they can put it out on Game Pass. You are not going to get AAA first party games on Game Pass. It's too expensive. They don't
Yeah.
make enough money right now anyway. Like they would have to have orders of magnitude more subscribers on Game Pass in order for that to make sense for people. They just make way too much money selling games to put it on Game Pass day one. So you're never gonna see the next Resident Evil on Game Pass day one.
Hmm. How long before you think they start to see profit from this? What was it they spent? 68 bill?
Never,
68 billion. They will not make profit on.
never,
Yeah, never.
never.
They'll write it
Here-
down somewhere within the business and try to make it look like it's profit, but
Never.
That's the thing. A lot of the decisions, and this is not just games companies. This is everybody. Everybody who goes public, they have this idea where if they make things better for consumers, and they make decisions that will benefit consumers directly, it ends up fucking over creators and the people who actually manufacture the product they're trying to sell. Spotify, for example, not viable in any way for any musician. There's nobody makes money off Spotify except for like the top 5% of people who are like whose shit is on the platform. Nobody makes money off Netflix. When you find out what people actually get paid, and like because there's no residuals, and there might be some at this point, but they're gonna be like tiny, right? Like they might have won residuals with the fucking writer's strike, but like they're not gonna be good. Um any platform that we've created that's like this is so good for consumers, it's so bad for the people making the content. So there's like this crashing point where these two problems fucking meet each other, and then suddenly the value of the service plummets because there's no fucking content on it. And Game Pass and this cannibalistic shit that Sony's doing with their own service is the same thing. Because like there's no money putting your shit on this service, and people keep doing it to the point where like either they have to stop doing the service because it's not economically viable, or they bankrupt the fucking creators who end up getting shanghaied into to being a part of it, or roped into it, I suppose.
and all the
Um,
numbers for the Game Pass side of things were leaked
Yeah.
in all those court documents because there's something like 25 million Game Pass subscribers. They're all
Yeah.
paying $12-15 a month, and the amounts that they would have to pay to secure something day one were leaked as well for a number of different games. For Mortal Kombat 1, that number was over $300 million. So that's in that month, that's literally your entire revenue from Game Pass. Never mind the cost of the servers, the cost of all the people you have to pay, the cost of all the games you're developing. It's not viable. Like they have to be making 10, 15, 20 times as much money for that to make sense month over month. That's why they're buying so much and using so much capital, because they need to get people through that door. And they're hoping something like Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch,
Yeah.
StarCraft
Well,
makes that happen.
Here's
Otherwise, they're
here's
going to have to exit that business.
Yeah,
At
'cause
some
here's
point,
the-
they will.
here's the
Crazy.
trick. The streaming model doesn't work. It's not viable long term, and everybody's realizing this. Netflix was like buying and building and expanding and blowing up. Then they were like, "Oh no, 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 no! No amount of subscribers can keep up with with our needs." So they've like wildly scaled back. They're like doing animation projects. They're cutting and slashing and burning. Like a live action property has to absolutely explode on their platform before they even consider giving it a second season. All sorts of shit is being canceled and all the other networks because streaming does not represent the growth that they thought it did. And I feel like the games industry is going to learn this harsh lesson as well very soon. Where like, I love Game Pass. It is not good for Xbox. It's not good for Microsoft to be using this service. PlayStation is going to have the same conversation with themselves probably sooner rather than later because they don't have anything like the fucking bank account that fucking Microsoft has. And
sorry, go ahead, James. Keep going.
I was going to say that like I feel like, and again, this by the way, what I'm about to say, pure speculation. I have no fucking idea if this is true or not. But my understanding or my impression is that a lot of the shit that Sony puts on their streaming service is the same shit that they've been offering in previous generations for like over a decade now, to the point where like either the licenses are like dirt cheap or they just own this shit outright and they don't have to worry about that problem, or like yeah, either it's old enough where it doesn't cost hardly anything to get those licenses, or they already own it so it doesn't matter. And so like the selection of games that they have access to on Sony is different because again they can't afford that. And also they just can't afford it. Nobody can afford to do this. It's one of the reasons why Nintendo is so cagey and choosy and selective with what they put on that digital service, because it's so goddamned expensive to try to make that work, and no amount of subscribers can fucking help you eat that cost. Like it, the math doesn't work out. There's no amount of people you can have on your service that will make it make money.
Jess in the chat also says, I think the PS Plus price has increased recently.
Mhm.
Yeah, it did.
Fuck.
I think
Yes,
it
that's what-
starts like next month, something like that.
God damn.
Starting bid for us Canadians is about $100 a year.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
Never.
that's for
Never.
the basic bullshit. Like you
Yeah.
get two or three PS Plus games a month, and you get access to the online. That's it.
Well, let's back up a second, because the October games, Farming Simulator 22,
Nice. Right on.
pretty
Yeah.
good. But also Callisto Protocol.
Callisto Protocol, which we are planning on doing a stream of that in the next few days here.
I mean, getting those two things permanently,
Mhm.
not, losing access to that if you decide to not pay anymore. Is that worth like $7 a month? Maybe. If the quality stays that way, maybe it is.
Hey,
But-
also, you do lose access to your PS Plus games if you stop paying.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Could have
that's
sworn
for
that was
sure.
not the case. But
No.
Huh.
Because I've had my subscription lapse before, right? And suddenly there was like 9 things in my hard drive that are like, nah.
really?
Yeah,
I wonder if that
It's-
changed at some point, because I could have sworn it was the other way. Anyway.
I had this revelation like 5 years ago.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah,
Then.
it's not a good service.
What I was gonna say as well on your point there, James, about Sony, they're also not putting their games day and date onto their streaming platform because
Yes.
they've run the numbers and it doesn't make sense for a Sony-sized business. Microsoft maybe can absorb that cost for a bit, but
Wow.
not forever. That's why
Well,
that's also in the
Microsoft-
court documents that if they don't achieve the numbers that they need to, they will exit Xbox from the gaming business by 2030.
Wow. That'd be crazy. No more Xbox? That'd be fucking crazy.
That's when Nintendo and Sony swoop in on the cheap,
Yeah.
buy up all the
Oh yeah,
devs,
yeah. They pick up Activision Blizzard for
like $43.
43. Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe 150.
I feel like the entire industry is going to be easy pickings if this shit keeps up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly seems to be the trend these days. If you're a developer and you're independent, expect an email in your inbox soon. Sooner than later.
Yeah.
That you've been bought by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Or, if not that you've been bought out, at least that you're being made an offer.
There was a rumor the other day that Square Enix is next on their hit list.
For Sony.
I knew that Sony was looking at them, but I heard the other day that Microsoft was
Wow.
deep in discussion.
That'd be pretty dark, eh? Final Fantasy only on Xbox?
Yikes.
Yeah. Thanks. Holy
How
shit.
bad could
Yeah.
they fuck up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Holy fuck.
I mean, they've got to get as big as fucking Google if they want to make sure this business is viable, and that is simply not happening.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how many studios they eat.
Yeah.
Because then you own all of them, and then there's a crazy overhead just to run all that shit. They're like, oh no, we just have to own every studio, it'll be fine. And be like, hey, guess what, motherfuckers? This costs money.
No. You just write it down under a different arm of the business, and then it doesn't exist. It's not real.
Oh my god, it's gonna be like the fucking Great Depression, the stock market crash in 1929. It's gonna be ET, man. It's gonna be ET all fucking over again. These dumb motherfuckers are gonna buy up so many things with no thought to like what the fucking long-term business model is gonna look like. That they're gonna blow the whole industry out.
There's going to be a landfill somewhere that's just Game Pass redeem codes right next to ET.
Yeah. There'll be like stacks of Series X consoles in pawn shops and shit like that. But like,
Well,
do you want 60
that's
bucks?
kind of already
do you want
the case, isn't it?
Yeah. 60 bucks, 70 bucks? What do you think? Huh? Can't play games on it because the whole landscape is digital. It's disappeared. But like 50 bucks?
How about this digital prison for $70?
Yeah.
Anyway. Anything else you guys want to talk about while we're here?
No, not really. I used to get so much news
Fucking sick of you
from
guys.
from Twitter. I used to get so many things, so many cool ideas would sort of leak in. But now most of my feed is people lamenting the imminent death of the platform, or like, horrifying real world issues pressing in. Not a lot of people have a lot of time for fun, dumb shit like video games. So I don't get as much of the good news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why we exist, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you the good news. The good news being that Spider-Man's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm so fucking listen, I'm super sorry, Larian Studios. I'm probably buying Spider-Man before Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I mean, well, it'll take you a hell of a lot less time to finish Spider-Man.
That's a good point. 30 hours is sensible as hell, man.
Very sensible, especially for a game as good as this one is. And I'm not the only one that gave it 100. Go on Metacritic, there are hundreds after hundreds after hundreds for this game. Yep. I don't think last time I checked, there wasn't a score below 80, 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's universal praise at this point.
Yeah. Metascore is 91.
Whew. Pretty good.
On 122 reviews. So
none of
that Starfield nonsense. They're like, it's an 88 and there's 19 reviews because these are the critics we handpicked that we knew would give it a high score.
Right. Yeah. And again, people want to say that I got paid for my review. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Hogwash.
Starfield's
and not only that, but I want to say big shout outs to Insomniac for dropping the codes for us reviewers like a month before the game came out. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Why is that so difficult?
I said that on Twitter when, people were starting to post like their install pictures and stuff like that. Like that's something Sony does in general very well, is give people ample time to review their game, look at it very in depth, and give a measured review. And in this case, having reviews drop a week before the game comes out, that's exceptionally confident. You gave people like 3 weeks to play your game and then put out a review way ahead of release.
Yeah.
They know it's a banger, right?
They know it's a banger. Like I got my fucking Baldur's Gate code 3 days before release. That is a 200-hour game. Like, what is going on here?
Well, just squeeze those 200 hours into 72 and, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
Reviews out the door.
Fair enough. My bad.
Yeah, do better.
Bad. Like, if y'all want to drop a code to me 3 days before release when you've got, at minimum, 200 hours worth of content in your game, it better come with a crisp $100 bill attached to that code. You know what I'm saying?
At very least.
At the very least, yeah.
Give a guy a prayer of getting it done.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a lot of Mickey D's to get that done.
A lot of Mickey D's. Yeah, a lot of Mickey D's. I could definitely stay awake if I had that $100 bill. But in all seriousness, like that Baldur's Gate, like that was certainly a game that needed to be sent out a month before release. Because it took me a good 3 weeks before I
Oh yeah.
felt confident in scoring it.
Yeah.
Nico's asking in the chat, what games are we looking forward to in
Ooh.
Q4 or anything in 2024?
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat, number one, the Silent Hill 2 remake. Oh goodness, I can't wait for that. The new rumor, there was a rumor that we were talking about it last night on stream, but there was a rumor that it was supposed to drop September 29th of this year. And that came and went. Now the new rumor is spring 2024. So I cannot wait for that fucking game. Please give it to me.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the remake of Super Mario RPG. That is one of the 4 or 5 Super NES games that I've beaten like over a dozen times, and I'm ready to play it a dozen more.
Yeah.
I can sit down and finish the original version in a single day if I don't have anything else going on, and I appreciate that shit. And this new version looks sick.
Yeah.
I'm so jazzed. I'm so ready for it. It's gonna be a fucking great time.
Yeah. That's probably safe to say that it'll be an early game of the year contender.
Late in this year, I really want to see how RoboCop Rogue City turns out.
Ooh, nice.
I've seen gameplay
Fuck
footage
yeah.
and it looks like both incredibly faithful to the fucking movies and like just a little bit janky. Like there was a shot of like somebody was like had like jumped down off the top of a staircase to like shoot at you, and then you like pop him, and there was like this canned animation of him falling over the stairs that they had to teleport him back up to the top of the staircase to execute. It's just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
If they get the
yeah.
vibe right on that
And
game, like, it's going to be
they've-
unstoppable.
Yeah, they fucking, it looks very promising.
Chris in the chat, he's also saying he hopes RoboCop is awesome. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. You think it'll have Red Foreman in it?
No,
Probably.
that'd be too cool.
That'd be too
That'd be
You
cool.
mean
cool.
Clarence Boddicker?
Yeah. Oh God,
The
that
true
right here.
hero.
Yeah.
I'm ready to rewatch that movie. That's another seen it a dozen times. I
Yeah.
could do for a few more. Yeah.
Dude, I am always down for that scene when the giant mech RoboCop rolls into the fucking meeting in the office.
Oh, it's so
That scene
good.
in the unrated, like the director's cut version, is so gratuitous.
Oh, I bet. I
Ah.
bet. I'm gonna have to look that up now. Yeah, Red
It's
Foreman.
money.
It's fucking wild.
But
Yeah.
we'll probably do a pretty extensive one of these on 2024 at some point, talking about what's coming out next year. We can hope that it's things like Wolverine.
Oh man. Okay.
Woo.
Can I give a very minor spoiler for Spider-Man?
The tiniest.
Not it's nothing to do with it's nothing to do with the story at all. There is a suit in the game that's got me pretty pumped for Wolverine.
Ooh,
That's all I'll
really?
say. Yeah. That's
Okay.
all I'll say.
I got some ideas.
Nope. Yeah.
Oh man, I want that game. Given Insomniac's last 3, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank, there is no doubt that that game is going to be a 95 pluser for sure.
Yep. Consistently, like, and through the course of their entire existence as a developer.
I hope that they go balls to the wall with it and make it super violent. Do y'all remember that Wolverine game? I think it was. What the fuck was the name of it? It was like a movie tie-in game for the Wolverine movie. It came out on the 360. It's quite old. But it was super violent. Like you would be literally ripping dudes' heads off and blood would be flying. And it was so fun. I really hope that this Insomniac Wolverine game just goes all out.
I'd love to see them do something a little bit different too from the, the typical Sony over the shoulder, well-written narrative action game. Like nothing wrong with those games. They're all
Yeah.
incredible. I'd love to see them switch it up a little bit, do something a little different.
Offbeat in the chat says Senua's Sage supposed to come out in 2024.
Oh
Looking
yeah,
forward to that.
is it really?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out in 2024.
But is it really?
Well, yeah.
TBA,
Yeah.
I think, on that one.
I can't. I'm gonna have to look at some lists because like I feel like my whole focus has been on shit coming out this year. So like I don't like I
Tough to
can't.
look to the future right now.
Yeah.
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 There's been so much crazy nonsense happening that I can't get a grip on like what's coming. I know there's like Wolverine at some point, yeah, but like I know there's a bunch of
there's Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Yes. Fuck yes. I'm sorry. Yes, that's coming out next year.
That's the one, right?
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one. Oh my god. Oh my god. Every trailer I see is just like thanks guys. Thank you for doing this for me. Specifically, me, James. Thank you for making this game for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebirth. From what
Also,
we've seen so far, I think it's gonna be tough to knock that one out of the game of the year
yeah.
spot. Yeah.
Also, real curious to see Helldivers 2.
Oh, dude, Helldivers 2 looks fucking sweet. The
It-
first one was actually wicked.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were talking about progressing your series forward. Well, holy shit, Helldivers 2 looks like almost an entirely new game.
Yeah.
Looks like it'll still, capture the essence, but it looks way different than the first.
Yeah.
Couple comments here. Neko says, Euden Chronicles? 100
Oh
Heroes?
yeah. So this is the one that the Suikoden guys are making that's like a spiritual successor to that one. They released a sort of like okay prequel. It was like I can't remember what it was called, but it was extremely all right. And just like a really simple like action, like side-scrolling action game, or it was just like, okay, this is fine, I guess. But like just a little like a moose boosh to fucking tide you over until this like proper RPG comes out, and that one has got real potential, like real fucking legs.
It's funny you said that too, because Neko also said, how do you pronounce that? Suikoden?
I will just say it
Suikoden?
wrong confidently. That's what I'll do. You know what? It's Suikoden. It's Suikoden until somebody
Suikoden.
tells me otherwise.
So
I don't know.
The Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters are coming next year.
Yep.
I know people are hyped about those. Neko specifically is very hyped about those.
They're excellent games, and they deserve a second stroll in the sunlight, so to speak.
I used to live right next to a Japanese restaurant that was spelled Suika, and that was Suika. So I'd be surprised if it wasn't Suikoden.
Okay, that would make sense.
I guess.
Just speaking the truth here, fellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if I just want to mispronounce it every time?
Go nuts, man.
Like a prick would. Like a prick would.
Yeah, just do it. I won't stop you.
Yeah, Neko says I think Paul's right. Suikoden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds right, but also wrong at the same time.
Yeah, I've definitely been saying Suikoden, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to propose something that we pronounce it differently every time we say it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I love Suikoden.
Suikoden 1 and 2. That's gonna be hot next year.
Psychoden 1 and 2.
Psychoden,
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
There should be some good
Anyways,
stuff
yeah.
in 2024. We'll talk about it at some point.
There
We'll-
will be.
We'll do a whole
There
big
will
thing.
be- We're gonna do a thing.
Yeah.
And we'll do one of these things again in a couple weeks' time
Yeah.
to, I don't know, talk about the stuff that's been out. Probably Mario Wonder.
Yeah.
Wonder, hopefully
I'll have
talk some more Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Some what?
Some more Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider's Men. Yep.
Yeah.
And whatever else comes out in there. Alan Wake 2, probably.
Yep.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2, that'll be out by the next time we talk.
Yeah, we're playing through Alan Wake 1. on stream right now. We'll be finishing the game tonight. So I hope y'all come by and check that out. But yeah, we're playing that in anticipation of the sequel, because that has by far been my most anticipated game of the year. I don't know, after playing through Spider-Man, after playing through Final Fantasy, RE4, I don't know how it's going to hold up against these juggernauts that have come out this year, but holy fuck, I'm so excited for it.
I mean, if they have improved at all on what Control was,
Yeah.
it's gonna be right up there.
Yep. Can't wait.
Anyways, we hope you'll all join us for that. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. It's been fun. If you're listening later, you missed the live fun. Come by next time. Hang out.
Yeah, we do all right. Yeah. It's good.
That's all right. It's a semi good podcast. Yeah.
It's another 7 out of 10 effort from the 7 out of 10 boys. The most important number in video games.
Yeah.
If you've missed that in the past, that's our new rating scale. It's either 7, above 7, or below 7.
But really,
like that's really the only 3 scores
7.
that matter.
Yeah.
There you go. Spider-Man above 7.
Yeah. Way
Mirage?
above 7.
Way above 7.
Way less than 7.
We gave it an 86.
No,
Yeah.
come on.
An 86.
That's not us, Rhett. That's somebody else. I don't know who that person is. Who was that person?
Somebody who needs more perspective. And yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go read it later. How about that?
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
you should read Rhett's review of Spider-Man 2. It's very well written. Good job, buddy.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We've appreciated you. And we'll see you right back here next time for Press X Podcast.